Elon Musk's $44 billion deal for Twitter is in serious jeopardy.
Extraordinary U-turn from the billionaire Elon Musk. He's pulling out of the $44 billion takeover of Twitter. That, according to his lawyer. The reason? The company has failed to provide the exact number of fake accounts on the social media platform.
This is either a renegotiated deal at a lower price, 42 to 45 for starters, or Musk ultimately tries to walk. This is just a nasty court battle. In that case, Twitter, because the stock could see a 2 in front of it. The ultimate issue here is that this would drag on for an extended period of time. It would be a disaster for Twitter. For Tesla, look, ultimately this becomes a positive.
In this video, the shit has officially hit the fan. Elon Musk intends to walk away from the Twitter deal. Twitter intends to force Elon Musk to complete the transaction. So in this video, we're going to talk about the latest drama and what it might mean for Tesla stock. So let's get into it. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support.
Twitter shares plummeted last night on the Washington Post report that Musk's team has stopped engaging in funding discussions because it can't verify Twitter's spam account numbers. The Post reporting that Musk is prepared to make a, quote, change in direction. When we asked Twitter about this, a spokesperson directed us to a statement that the company released back in June, saying that Twitter is cooperating with Musk and, quote, we intend to close the transaction and enforce the merger agreement at the agreed price and terms. Twitter also confirming to us last night that it is laying off 30% of its recruiting team. That's less than 100 people as the company seeks to cut costs as it waits out the closure of the Musk deal. Now, looking at Twitter shares, they're down dramatically from the $54.20 a share that Musk agreed to pay back on April 25th. And shares are actually trading 24% below where the stock was when he made that deal. And a number of executives here, of course, talking about this, telling me that they think Musk's innovation could really bring great value to the company, but that he is certainly seems to be looking to negotiate a lower price right now.
Elon Musk's $44 billion deal for Twitter is in serious jeopardy. According to a new report by the Washington Post, the report cites anonymous sources that say Musk's team is still doubting the reliability of data surrounding fake accounts on Twitter. And joining us now to discuss is Wedbush Securities analyst Dan Ives. Dan, always great to see you here, as I've been saying on a Jobs Friday. But we got to talk Twitter here. And you're saying there are 3 paths ahead for Twitter and Musk. Could you outline them for us, please?
Yeah, so I think that there's 3. One, the deal happens at 54.20. I think there's a better chance of me playing for the Yankees than that happening. So let's call that a low single-digit percentage chance.
I definitely agree with Dan Ives on this point. There's a better chance of a basement-dwelling, self-hating adult virgin currently short Tesla stock getting laid than this deal closing at the originally agreed-upon price.
Second, I think if you look at Musk could walk and ultimately try to fight Twitter board in court, we could see the $1 billion breakup fee. And there's a 35% chance that happens. And then ultimately, I think there's a 55 to 60% chance it's a renegotiated price, $42 to $45. That's why we lowered our price target to 43, because I think 54.20 is out the window. I think 43 is probably more realistic, but I think there's a good chance that he tries to walk, fights Twitter board in court, and that's where this just becomes a Game of Thrones in court and really becomes a disaster situation for Twitter.
Spoiler alert, a lot has happened in the few hours since this piece went to air. Elon has decided to walk, of course. In the future, they could renegotiate, but at this point in time, the latest update, Elon has walked. Twitter's about to get absolutely fucked. Watch what happens to Twitter stock on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. In addition, we're going to talk a little bit more about the potential impact on Tesla stock in just a moment.
I want to throw a theory out your way that I've been seeing on the Twitterverse here. Elon Musk liquidated $8.5 billion worth of Tesla stock. Could this simply be a ruse for him doing that?
If I'm understanding correctly, this is a bit of a stretch, but apparently there is a theory that maybe this whole Twitter acquisition was just a ruse, an excuse for Elon to sell some Tesla stock. Okay.
Okay, of course that's gonna, and it's been out there in terms of the Twitterverse. Look, I think as we talked about, the tax sale was an overhang, as we saw late last year. We saw more selling of Tesla stock, and look, it's been a brutal period for Tesla investors. I think it's $150 overhang in the stock to Twitter deal.
Interesting comment from Dan Ives here, who believes the Twitter deal has about a $150 overhang on Tesla stock. In other words, if Elon walks, and as I said, lots happened since this piece aired, we'll talk more about that in a moment. Apparently, he is walking. If Dan Ives is right, you can effectively add $150 to the price Tesla stock closed at today, and that's about where Ives thinks Tesla stock will be if it's confirmed that Elon has walked and the deal's off.
Musk selling of stock has come to an end, but if you look at that combined with the shutdowns that we saw in China with zero COVID, I mean, it has just been a brutal 6 months for Tesla investors.
If by brutal you mean a delicious, prolonged buying opportunity, then yeah, absolutely. Tesla stock getting absolutely wrecked over the last 6 or so months due to a number of factors that have absolutely nothing to do with Tesla, the business, their execution, their technological advantage, the inevitable transition to EVs, nothing whatsoever to do with the company. Ives is right. As I've said, as I've been repeating, buying with every spare cent. In fact, a quick update, overnight I bought 169 shares of Tesla stock. Some of you may be wondering, hang on, don't you have tax liabilities and didn't you run out of money? Yes, but as I've explained on Patreon recently, I do also have a money printer available. Seriously, posted a number of videos on this. My Patreon supporters know what's going on, and everyone else, yep, I did just pull $200,000 out of thin air and bought Tesla stock. And if you're wondering, yes, my money printer does have a little bit of ink left.
And I think Musk has started to listen, and I think whether it's a scapegoat or it's a real issue in terms of the fake bot issue, I think he got cold feet, and that's why I think there's a good chance that this deal does not happen, ultimately ends up in court.
Yeah, I have to agree with you right there. And you mentioned Tesla. I want to focus on Tesla for a second. They came out with their deliveries. We've had you talk about that. Just any developments on the China front there? Any new news that you can talk about?
I mean, look, we talked about it on the weekend. Obviously, we talked about it with Brian and Julie. It's everyone knew this was going to be an ugly number because April and May were shut down in China. That's about 70,000 units we think ultimately got wiped out of the quarter. But the reason the stocks rallied is because investors are looking past. They're looking at the month of June. They're looking at second half numbers and into 2023. And I think if you look at the run rate, I think it's been impressive. And I think barring any black swan event in terms of other zero COVID issues, in my opinion, I think Tesla, right now is overcorrected. I think we're really going into a period that demand continues to outstrip supply, despite the haters continuing to hate.
Well, and let's continue to talk about supply then, and specifically the competition for Tesla in China. I just read a report the other day that BYD, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, they are the #1 electric vehicle producer in the world if you count hybrids.
Why would you count hybrids? That would be like counting blow-up dolls as romantic partners. The only reason you'd throw in hybrids, which are actually ICE vehicles with a tiny battery inside them, so they're ICE vehicles, not battery electric vehicles. The only reason you'd count them is to go, oh, look, we made more EVs, including hybrids, than anyone else. Like I said, your blow-up dolls don't count.
And this kind of came out of left field for me. There is a lot of competition in China that I think is underappreciated by the general public. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a fierce competitive market. You see a huge shift in EVs, let's say, versus the US or even Europe. BYD, I mean, you're talking about a formidable competitor, a phenomenal model that they've built, great production. Look at NIO as well. Yeah. I mean, NIO is another good Xpeng. I mean, but look, this is not a zero-sum game. I mean, that's really the call here is that Tesla, it's going to be over 40% of deliveries that come out of China. But as you look toward the next year or two, as I think in 2023 get toward 2 million plus in terms of units.
Just a quick sanity check here. Even in my bear case, worst case scenario, everything that can go wrong does go wrong. I still have Tesla delivering in excess of 2 million units in 2023.
China is key, but it's not that they have to just dominate market share because they're also going to be successful not just in China, but US and Europe. And I think that's an important dynamic now that's playing out. You go back a week ago, if you show those delivery numbers, many of the skeptics be like, Tesla's stock that's in the 6s. Instead, it's 760 because investors are looking forward on the name.
And now a few more clips as the Elon Twitter saga continues to unfold.
This is either a renegotiated deal at a lower price, 42 to 45 for starters, or Musk ultimately tries to walk. This is just a nasty court battle. In that case, Twitter, because the stock could see a 2 in front of it.
Indeed. Rip Twitter stock.
Okay, so if there is no buyout, what's the future of Twitter here? They just go back to business as normal?
Look, I think there would be dark days ahead because first off, from an investor perspective, you got the fake account bot issue. So investors would have skepticism in the numbers that they're producing. They've already had significant cuts internally. Resumes are out there. The company's been waiting for the buyout, and now it appears, and this has really been on a thesis, 54.20 was never going to happen. The stock was telling you that. Now it comes down to, does the board come to the table with Musk because of the fake account bot issue on a lower price? Otherwise, this becomes sharpen the knives, get ready for court.
And get ready for court because Mr. Musk will take it to that level. I mean, do you have a view on his ability to back away from this? Because it seems like, from what I read, most legal experts are saying that he's locked in unless there is an amicable divorce between parties.
Look, I mean, and I've heard that, obviously, me and you've heard that many times, but the stock's at 37 for a reason. In other words,
True.
like there's a view that Musk will fight it in terms of this being a material breach, in terms of the numbers. This will ultimately be, you could start to ultimately really dive into the numbers. That 5% number is at 15, it's at 20%. The ultimate issue here is that this would drag on for an extended period of time. It would be a disaster for Twitter. For Tesla, look, ultimately this becomes a positive because the last thing as a Tesla investor you ever wanted to see was Musk buying Twitter. So I think that's also relieved a bit of what's been, I view, about $100, $150 overhang in the stock.
Let's talk some Tesla too here.
I think you could be looking at 1.4 million units for the year.
I definitely agree. 1.4 million units from Tesla, of course. Assuming there's 0 deliveries from Austin and 0 deliveries from Berlin, except they're already producing and delivering vehicles from those facilities. So yeah, 1.4 in the bag with just Fremont and Shanghai, despite the shutdowns, and whatever additional delivery volume Tesla can push through from Austin and Berlin, just cream on top. 1.4 million is a done deal unless there's some black swan event I can't see coming, maybe some more fascist shutdowns. Otherwise, I think this is going to be north of 1.5 million.
I think investors are fast forwarding. I ultimately believe numbers in terms of the quarter coming up, it's all focused in the second half. Right now, demand is 15% oversupply, and that continues to be the issue. See a bit of a shutdown early July for an enhancement of the factory in Shanghai. But then coming out of that, I mean, they are going to be on a significant trajectory from a production perspective. Demand's not the issue. For Tesla, the name of the game right now is ramping production. You need to start to see ultimately Berlin as well as Austin ramp as well. And then they're going to be a production footprint that's going to be over 2 million going into next year. But Oliver, this really comes down to what we're going to see in the second half of the year in 2023. I think a lot of bad news has been baked into the stock, and that's why we sit here a week later and the stock's up pretty nicely from those delivery numbers.
Indeed, 10% plus week for Tesla. Back near the high end of the range from the last month. Thanks for checking in, Dan. Appreciate it. Have a great week.
Thank you.
And now a final update on the Twitter Elon saga.
Extraordinary U-turn from the billionaire Elon Musk. He's pulling out of the $44 billion takeover of Twitter. That, according to his lawyer. The reason? The company has failed to provide the exact number of fake accounts on the social media platform. Twitter estimated in a filing in May that fewer than 5% of its monetizable daily active users were bots or spam accounts in the first quarter of the year. But in a letter Musk's lawyer sent today to the company's chief legal officer, he wrote in part, quote, Twitter has failed or refused to provide this information. Sometimes Twitter has ignored Mr. Musk's requests. Sometimes it has rejected them for reasons that appear to be unjustified. And sometimes it has claimed to comply while giving Mr. Musk incomplete or unusable information.
Now, these are some extremely damning comments from Elon's lawyer. Of course, this doesn't really come as a surprise to me. Twitter is an absolute dumpster fire of a company. Clearly, transparency, honesty, and openness is not part of their modus operandi. Shout out to constantly, stealthily banning, shadow banning, deplatforming, suppressing people's tweets and accounts without any warning or communication. No explanation. Of course, I've personally experienced this a few times. I've publicly criticized Twitter and then discovered that my account has been shadow banned for as much as a week. Given that we know this deal is in the interest of Twitter's shareholders, Twitter should be giving Elon Musk all of the information, being honest, open, transparent, and helping to get this deal done. But it seems every step of the way, they've been putting in roadblocks. sharing half-truths. As we can see, things are really starting to get ugly now. In my personal belief, Twitter are going to get absolutely raked over the coals. This will end up in court. Twitter may at this point in time be posturing at some point. They'll go, you know what, we're sorry, please don't take us to court. Elon, let's renegotiate the deal much cheaper. In either case, it seems pretty evident that Twitter doesn't actually give a flying fuck about their shareholders or the truth. It also appears that Twitter may have intentionally deceived the Securities and Exchange Commission and therefore all Twitter shareholders. We'll see how things play out, but it's not looking pretty for Twitter.
The announcement rattling Twitter stock. It dropped about 5% in after-hours trading. In a statement, the head of Twitter's board tweeted in part, quote, "The Twitter board is committed to closing the transaction on the price and terms agreed upon with Mr. Musk and plans to pursue legal action to enforce the merger agreement."
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that tweet will not age well. I'm not sure if Twitter are posturing or they genuinely believe they have a chance of actually enforcing this deal and forcing Elon to follow through in the courts, but that is not going to happen. At this point in time, I have no idea if Twitter are incompetent, blind, so ignorant, stupid, and their heads so far up their own asses they think they can actually win this thing in court. But I am telling you, this does not end well for Twitter.
CNBC's technology reporter Steve Kovac with us now. And Steve, I suppose this is a surprise to absolutely nobody.
That's right, Scott. We've been talking about this for the last 2 days now, and it finally happened. We were saying, is he trying to back out of the deal? Is he trying to get a lower price? Well, maybe he's doing a little bit of both. This could be a negotiation tactic for him to get a lower price after watching the share price of Twitter go down.
This really does my head in, okay? I don't know how people aren't getting this, but it's actually quite simple. Elon isn't attempting to renegotiate the deal price lower because the stock market's crashed in the meantime since making this offer. He's just trying to confirm that Twitter haven't been lying repeatedly to the Securities and Exchange Commission by downplaying and minimizing the number of legitimate users versus actual bots. Obviously, Elon has a plan to turn around Twitter, to massively increase profitability, to increase revenue. The most foundational element is how many actual human beings are on the website versus bots. If it turns out Twitter's been lying, misleading, deceiving, and downplaying the number of bots, everything about this deal changes and Elon has every right to renegotiate. It absolutely does my fucking head in when these clowns in the mainstream media automatically assume that Elon's just trying to negotiate the price down because Twitter stock, along with the rest of the stock market, especially tech, has been absolutely crushed. It's so fucking obvious. He just wants to confirm, is the information that was publicly available to me at the time of the offer actually true? Did Twitter lie, or is this accurate? If it's accurate, great, the deal can complete. And if it's bullshit, well, obviously we renegotiate.
But look, Scott, I'm kind of reminded of that Michael Scott meme from The Office where he declares bankruptcy. Just because you declare this deal terminated doesn't make it so. And like you said from the chairman, there's going to be a legal fight over this.
What's the likelihood he can pull off a lower price, do you think?
Just by being annoying, it could work out. Just by saying, look, I'm going to drag you to court, make a years-long court battle. Advertisers are going to be angry at you, unsure of how the company's working out. So that could pressure them enough to say, okay, we'll give you a little bit, Elon, as long as you just keep buying the company.
Let's remind everybody as well, while he says this is all about the bots.
I can already see where this is going. I pay a lot of attention to what the folks on CNBC have to say about Elon Musk and Tesla, and I've noticed Scott, the anchor here, for some reason, doesn't like Elon Musk, doesn't like Tesla, and always assumes the worst. The number of times that Scott has leveled some form of accusation at Elon Musk of being deceptive, dishonest, and lying, zero evidence in any of these cases. It's just, I've lost count. I can see where this is going. We're going to have an emotive response in which Scott implies that Elon Musk has been dishonest or deceptive at some point during this negotiation. Just you wait.
Let's remind everybody as well, while he says this is all about the bots and the fake accounts, long suspected that it was more about the price and the falling price of Twitter.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Scott, who's definitely unbiased, doesn't have an emotional dislike of Elon Musk, and isn't a gigantic wanker, has long known that the bot issue was really just a guise for Elon Musk to renegotiate the price of the deal lower simply because the stock market's crashed in the meantime. It's got nothing to do with the fact that it appears, based on every single user's experience, that Twitter has far more than 5% active bots versus humans, which contradicts what they've been filing with the SEC. And obviously, even if there are more than 5% bots, that doesn't change anything about the deal because it's not like Twitter is a business built upon advertising to actual humans. Thank you, Scott, for your interpretation of the facts. You're definitely right. Elon doesn't have any cause to believe there's more bots on Twitter than what Twitter publicly claims, and therefore the only possible explanation, you're right, it's just a tactic to renegotiate the deal because he was overpaying at the original purchase price. Good point, Scott. Makes total sense. I just want to add a little bit of additional context because the amount of brain damage in the mainstream finance media covering the Elon Twitter deal is just stunning. Let me make this real simple and real clear. In Elon's mind, The Twitter acquisition isn't a financial decision. This isn't an investment. It's philanthropy. He's willing to spend whatever amount of money he needs to, in this case, give or take $45 billion, to acquire the company to uphold the principles of free speech, because this is important for functioning democracy. But of course, almost everyone in the mainstream finance media is so blinded by their own biases, their own desire to make money, to make profits. They can't see that Elon isn't looking at this deal through the same lens that most other investors would be. He's not investing in Twitter. He's simply trying to ensure that the majority of people on planet Earth, if they want to, can freely share their thoughts, opinions, and ideas without fear of being banned, deplatformed, or cancelled. And again, the clowns on CNBC, Scott's a great example here, just can't see that. They're so blinded by their finance view of the world, their investing, well, actually trading view of the world, that it's all about money, all about profits, all about negotiating the deal for a better price because the market's come down. There's no possible way that somebody like Elon Musk may care so much about free speech that he's willing to spend, invest, throw away tens of billions of dollars, not to make a huge financial return, but to allow free speech to not only exist, but to flourish. And I want to be clear here, Elon Musk is not a moron. Obviously, he's going to do his best to make this a financially viable deal and to increase Twitter's profitability over time. Duh. But the point of this deal is to uphold free speech. That's it. Underneath the umbrella of just upholding free speech, whatever the cost, Elon's going to do his best to optimize the company and profitability. But again, the CNBC dingbats here, it can only be about money. There's no other explanation. Why would anyone want to uphold free speech? That's crazy, man.
Of course, he had a chance to do due diligence on this deal, and he specifically chose not to.
Yes, we've heard this many times in the mainstream finance media. It's always a great tell that the person talking is suffering from the Dunning-Kruger effect. Well, Elon Musk waived his right to due diligence, so sucked in, Elon. You have to finish the deal now. Sucked in. Now, I understand the point. If you're intellectually challenged, you might hear the idea of due diligence and the fact that it was waived and go, oh, yeah, he does have to complete the deal. Sucked in, Elon. Sucked in. It's your fault. You waived due diligence. But see, here's the thing. This has nothing to do with due diligence. Elon did his diligence based on Twitter's public filings with the Securities and Exchange Commission, claiming they have less than 5% bots on the website. Elon proceeds with the deal. If it turns out that Twitter have misled, lied, and deceived, it doesn't matter whether or not Elon has waived his right to do due diligence, because his acquisition of the company based on publicly available information, wait for it, was based on fraudulent information. It stuns me that people aren't getting this. I'm just kidding. I know exactly why they don't get it. Because they don't like Elon, they probably don't like themselves, and therefore they can't actually see what's going on and just want to point and laugh, go, ha ha, you didn't do due diligence, sucked in, every fucking time. I haven't seen a single person in the mainstream finance media go, well, hang on a minute. Is it possible that even though he did waive due diligence, if it turns out that Twitter's been committing securities fraud, surely that gives him an option to renegotiate or walk away from the deal without a penalty, right?
Yeah, and Scott, that's exactly right. And that is why all this talk about spam bots and due diligence and so forth is just a distraction for what he really wants. He either wants out or he wants a lower price. That's it. This whole thing about the spam bots, again, he has the data. He says in this letter, or his lawyer says, he's been asking for the data and hasn't gotten it. He's gotten the data. He's gotten this so-called fire hose of data from Twitter, which literally gives him access to every tweet. And he has a team who can analyze it if they want to. And look, he hasn't come out with any specific claims saying Twitter's lying about their spam bot thing. In fact, Twitter reiterated earlier this week saying, we stand by it. In fact, our spam bots are less than what we earlier reported.
So in general, I think the short story here is, as usual, the mainstream finance media, no idea what the fuck they're talking about, allowing emotions to cloud their judgment and self-immolating at almost every opportunity. Not surprising. The only surprising thing is how any of these clowns have a job. And now let's turn to the potential impact on Tesla stock. As we know, short-term predictions on any stocks are fraught with danger, and Tesla tends to be very, very volatile and unpredictable. But my suspicion is, as we saw, Tesla stock had a pretty good day today, during trading hours up a few percent and after hours also up a few percent. I won't be surprised if Tesla stock has a very strong Monday, Tuesday, maybe even entire next week. But as I said, anything could happen. I think the general theme here, whether Elon Musk completely walks from this deal cold and says, okay, that's it, we're done, I'm not buying the company, or walks and then comes back and renegotiates, or tries to walk and eventually Twitter come running, oh Elon, we're so sorry, we'll do anything for you, please daddy, just don't walk from the deal, is yet to be seen. I suspect on average, both Twitter and Tesla stock will be very volatile in the coming days and weeks. However, they'll probably, and I don't know for sure, but they'll probably be trending in opposite directions. I'll let you figure out which is which. I'd love to know what you guys and girls think. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think happens with the Twitter deal? Is it done? Is it off forever? Is Elon going to walk? Are they going to renegotiate? What's going to happen from here? And finally, don't forget to join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment. You'll gain access to my Tesla stock price targets out over the next decade, plus over 100 exclusive Q&A videos, plus loads of other perks and exclusive content. So I'll see you over on Patreon. I'm Stephen Mark Ryan. This is Solving the Money Problem, and I love you all. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoy these videos, there's a bunch of ways you can support the channel, access exclusive content and perks, and get some free stocks and crypto. Check out the links in the pinned comment below. You can also pick up some Tesla, Elon, and investment themed merch in the merch store. If you want to take it to the next level, join thousands of members on Patreon to gain exclusive access to over 100 Q&A videos, loads of exclusive content, exclusive access to my up-to-date 10-year Tesla stock price targets, and even access my Tesla valuation model at the investor support level and above. So check out the links in the pinned comment below, and thanks for your support. And if you're still watching, you're awesome. I read every single comment on this channel, and I really appreciate your feedback. So if you've got any thoughts on today's video, questions, comments, or suggestions for a new video, let me know in the comments below. Check the cards on screen now to browse the merch store, join Patreon, or watch the next video.